Hello everyone, welcome to a Tuesday Facebook Live. I appreciate you tuning in today and watching afterwards as well. I have a company that I want to talk about a little bit today. It's called Pilgrim Waters, and it's an interesting company. It's a husband and wife team. They are designers, textile designers, wood builders, kind of home goods company, and they're very interesting because they have a sensibility that I really like, a very Scandinavian type sensibility in terms of their designs. And so I want you to tune into pilgrimwaters.com and check out their pieces. They have gorgeous scarves. Check out the field scarf. I think you're going to want to order one of those. It was just, inspired by a balloon ride over the English countryside, so it has this flavor of patched pieces as you look down onto the earth from an airplane. And they also have this in this, on this, I guess they call it, what do they call it? The studio notes. It's something you can read about the company, and it talks about how to tie a scarf, like 6 ways to tie a scarf, which I'm always interested in learning how to tie something kind of differently. So check that out. I even downloaded the studio notes. It's somewhat long. You don't have to print it out. You can just read it on your computer screen, but I was fascinated by their design sensibility. But in that article on the studio notes, they talk about this other place called Kettle's Yard. And this is a museum in a home in Cambridge, England. And the home was owned by a former curator of the Tate Museum. And so back in the 20s and 30s and 40s and even 50s, this man collected art. And he opened this home up to students who could come and borrow the art. It's very interesting, kind of a loan system. But the house exists today. And you can go there as a museum, but you can take a virtual tour on this website, Kettle's Yard. And I don't know, I think you'd enjoy seeing some of the ways that even just ordinary rocks are arranged on shelves in a home, very common materials, in addition to fabulous art. And I really enjoyed both of these websites. So check that out. That's today's inspirational note for you. This is the month of Crane Street Tees, and we are doing the embroidery designs, featuring these designs designed by my daughter Alex. So this is the black French terry Crane Street tee, and you can see that this is the motif that she designed, and this is the way it is designed. On the other hand, you can break up the design and put it into pieces and parts. But when you order this kit, you get the French terry in either white, off-white, or black, and you get all the lovely little bits to do the embroidery. The yarn, the fabrics, the pearl cottons, the embroidery threads, the needle, the whole design, the transfer paper, everything that you need to actually hand embroider on your t-shirt or sweatshirt, if you want to call it that. So check out the kits. We have plenty of kits, and we hope you'll join us for the online class for, what is this, April? Yes, April. Time is going fast. I wrote something yesterday and I wrote 3. It's not March anymore, it's April. So last week we had a Sew Kansas event. And we haven't had a Sew Kansas event for a couple of years, so it was really great to have people back on the scene and back in Topeka. And of course it made us clean the studio, which took some effort. It had been neglected for a while. So we cleaned it all up and sorted it out and set up some sewing tables, and 11 people came from all over the country to help with fitting, to get fitted. I helped them with fitting and wardrobing and sewing techniques. And every morning we would meet for a little show and tell of what they had on, what they'd been sewing, and then we talked about what they wanted to accomplish for the 3 days that they were here. We had a couple of trunk shows, one special one at our Japanese garden here in Topeka, and then we had an Asian-inspired trunk show that Kathy Davis and I put together, and that was really fun. So we had a great time. But, as usual, I learned more from the students, and they probably learned from me, and I was able to keep a few of the garments from the various students, and they were willing to leave them. They're going back today, which I'm sorry to say, but for now, you get to see them and the benefits of some inspiration that came out of Sew Kansas and also what they had already sewn previous to Sew Kansas. So I'm going to show you some garments, and I've put together some fabrics that I think would work. I don't always have the fabrics that these garments are made out of because they were made previously or they used up all the fabric or whatever. So I've put together some fabrics to go along with the designs. So let's start with Kathleen Saltow. I hope I pronounced that right. I asked her and I almost promptly forgotten. But I was really intrigued with this garment. First of all, she used the Liberty shirt pattern. And when you make the Liberty shirt, this is pretty much what it looks like. It has a round collar that you can wear up or down, button down front. It has seams that are on the diagonal here that come to the front, and so the back comes around to the front and is a little bit longer. And a nice sleeve with a little vent in it. This is one of our long-standing, really great classic patterns that I hope never goes away. Her version, believe it or not, is this. And this is made out of a fleece, so it's very soft. Could be a sweater knit, could be a fleece. But I was fascinated by what she did. Now we have a garment that we've used the Liberty shirt as a pullover before, so that wasn't all that new to us. But in this case, she's added this fantastic crossover neckline. So let me bring this just a little bit closer so you can actually see what she's done. It's about a 2.5 inch wide piece of ribbing that matches the fleece. And this has been crisscrossed and cut and sewn into a V. And then where you have the diagonal seams, she has actually made a placket and added 4 buttons on each side. I love that attention to detail. She's also used rib along the bottom instead of finishing it with normally the mitered hems, and added a ribbed cuff. So I couldn't believe this when she walked in. I kind of knew what it was, but that was what was so interesting about the Sew Kansas event was people would come in with these garments and I had to guess at what the patterns were. So you start with one pattern and you can make it in so many ways. I think that's one of the nice things about our pattern collection in general is that you can take one pattern and make it 100 different ways. So I just for fun put it with some print pants. These are the Valencia pants in a print. I thought that was kind of fun to kick a kind of dark fleece, almost sweatshirt, t-shirt with a fun spring-summer printed pant. So that's our friend, Kathleen. Then Lois Haskins came in with her version of the pearl jacket. Now again, if you make the pearl, this is the shape of it. Notice the shape of this front piece has kind of a V shape tail. It has a casing with a drawstring that you can either wear like this or you can draw it up and change the neckline altogether. So it has a ruched affair. It's fairly long, has a seam basically at the waist and a center back seam below that and a long sleeve. So I've never made it any way except for this. The only thing I've ever done is just not put the drawstring in, and that was my way of changing this up. I've paired this with a Eureka top. I think that's a nice complement to this, a simple top. But Lois's jacket is this. And all she did was shorten it and not put the drawstring in. Her casing is a little bit deeper than the normal casing, so it's more like a folded back hem. You could wear it like this, which I like very much, and she's put 3 buttons on each of the front hems. But basically all she did was shorten it and take away all of these tails and side pieces that drape and hang. And this is in one of our sweater knits. And if she said it once, she said it 5 times. What a beautiful sweater knit that she got from us. And we do have beautiful sweater knits. And this is just the perfect weight. She lives in the kind of climate where this is going to be worn a lot. It's a little bit colder there, upper East Coast, so you know it's cold. But I think this is just brilliant. I popped it with a little bit of a pink top just so that you could see it. She had it on with a longer swing tee that had been split on one side, and it was in a nice patterned motif of knit, and some navy pants. But I popped it with a little bit of pink just to bring a little spring into it because I'm into pink. So that is the pearl. Kathy Aiken, you probably recognize this. Kathy Aiken's from Kansas City. And you may recognize this fabric because we had it on our wall, I don't know, a few weeks ago. This is a beautiful rayon crepe. This is the West End pants. The West End pants are our pants that have the widest leg. We're out of this fabric, but I thought it was really fantastic what she used it for. But then she had on, this is the 3-fold vest, which is part of our Shapes pattern collection. And all she did to this was shorten it, which I've never done. And she wore it with a white top underneath, a white t-shirt, but this is so cute. This is the kind of garment that you can whip up really quickly. This front piece extends over the shoulder, so there's no shoulder seam. So these two long rectangles come together, and then they are sewn together with this inserted V right here. And all she's done is shorten this one rectangular piece that's used for both the left and the right side. I put it over an odette. I had to think a minute. A white knit odette, just to give that, I mean, there's nothing really better than black and white anyway, but just to put that with this print bottom, I thought was really wonderful. So I pulled out a couple of fabrics. This is some black lightweight linen. It's handkerchief linen, which is basically what she's used, beautiful quality. And then I thought this would make some beautiful pants that pull in the white, the black, and then of course my other favorite color. And then you could also use the sweater knit that I put below it to make your pearl jacket and have a complete ensemble of sweater, vest, t-shirt, pants, and just have a whole range of good things. So that's Kathy's 3-fold vest. Oops. All right. So we have Megan. Megan Reed from Colorado, MixIt shirt. But she has used our tutorial that's called the Liberty MixIt Fusion, or MixIt Liberty Fusion. I think it's Liberty MixIt Fusion, to change the neckline. No, I'll take that back. Forget what I just said. This is the MixIt top, MixIt shirt without the collar. For some reason, I thought this was a Liberty, but it's not. It's a MixIt shirt without the little collar. Okay, are we square now? All right. But I love her use of the two prints. The front is one print, the sleeves and the back are another. I know that this is a Liberty of London print. I think this is, but I forgot to ask her. So I pulled out these two Liberty of London prints that I think would be fantastic. Use this for the front, this for the sleeves and the back, and that's a fantastic combination. Black and navy and green and pink, and just these are just happy colors. This is part of the new collection of Liberty of London prints that we've just gotten in. We have lots of Liberty of London prints now. There's just nothing like the quality of these prints. They're so fine. It's called Tana Lawn. And I don't think I've ever run into any other cottons that have the same beautiful, soft, smooth feel as these cottons. They last forever. We're going to have a whole Facebook Live about Liberty of London in August, so you can pay attention then. So this is Megan, and this is the MixIt shirt. And when you order the MixIt shirt pattern, you get a top and a shirt and a tank. So it's 3 pieces within one pattern. This also makes a great dress, and it would make a great dress in one of these as well. So Linda Wardlow is actually from here in Topeka, and she was here helping us a little bit, and she also came to our Asian trunk show at the Japanese Gardens, and she had on this fantastic Chicago jacket. This was part of a class that we had some time ago called Fractured Jacket, and Kathy Davis helped Linda put this together. These are pieces and parts of kimono fabrics that have been cut, left raw edged, and then fused down and then sewn. So everything here is sewn in a channel stitch that's about 1/2 inch apart. So here's the back. Has, I don't know, six or eight different silks and prints. Now you don't have to have kimono fabrics to do this. You could use all those pieces and parts of fabrics that you have in your stash, whether they're cotton or silk or rayon. You could mix them. I don't think it really matters. You can cut them on the straight grain, you can cut them on the bias, because by the time that they are stitched down in a channel stitching, they're down. And this fraying is all part of the character of what's going on. It's a very Burroughs style approach to design. So Kathy helped her lay this out, select the fabrics, and figure out where to put what. The collar has a silk on the upper collar and not the under collar. I've put it over a swing tee that has the split to it. That's a whole So Confident program that we had a year or two ago. The fabric is all cotton, and it is not the same color, but we do still have this color of the cotton matelassé. I call it a matelassé, but it's actually, I think, a jacquard. It's almost like a double weave, but not quite. It has a lot of texture to it. And this is the same fabric that I've made my Chicago jacket out of and worn a couple of times, maybe here on Facebook Live. And this fabric is fantastic. I've traveled in this fabric. It doesn't wrinkle. It holds up. It never changes. I never have to press it. I barely have to clean it. So I really encourage you to take a look at this fabric because it's one of my favorites. It has 2 different sides to it, which I'm sure you can't pick up on Facebook Live, but it has slight difference in the texture from the wrong side to the right side. But this is Chicago jacket. Of course, the button is perfect. We have lots of great buttons here. If you ever are in need of a certain kind of button or buttons, period, you can always call here or email, and we're happy to help you with some buttons because we have quite an inventory of buttons. Now last week, Samantha Plow was here, and I held one garment back. You saw dresses, but she also brought this, and I am crazy about this. This is linen, and it's a toile linen. Of course, toile meaning there's a scene of some sort, that in this case, elephants and tiger and all sorts of things. But she has applied these machine embroidery designs. So these roses in gold and green, both on the back and the front, have been machine embroidered. Samantha's a great one for finding great styles on Instagram, websites, Pinterest, and whatever, and following really high-end designers. And this is exactly what's happening with a lot of designers. We're seeing not only the toile, but we're seeing a lot of machine embroidery embellished garments. So this is very casual. We think of embroidery, I think, sometimes as being kind of dressy, particularly if it's roses, but I think this could be worn with denim, jeans, white pants, or some West End pants in a color that really pulls out the color of the toile. This is the Zen shirt. This is the one that has the 2 levels of collar. The inner collar is a little bit shorter than the outer collar by about 1/2 inch. I wear this with the outer collar turned down and the inner collar turned up, so I have a little bit of something at my neck. The other thing I like about this is that this placket on the front, which is a hidden placket for the buttons, has a contrasting fabric, very Robert Graham inspired. Robert Graham is a men's shirtwear designer, and lots of great ideas for adding trims and details to shirts can be found when you go to the Robert Graham website and look at the men's shirts. So that's a nice detail. So I pulled out this fabric, which I thought was reminiscent of her toile. This is a toile, but this time it's silk dupioni. But I think that even though it's silk dupioni, forget the word silk. You know, to me, you wash this, it softens it just a little bit, maybe even brings up the texture of the dupioni a little bit, and you can wear this daytime. But a nice fabric to embroider on, either by hand or machine, because it has some stability to it. So I think that's a great piece. Now, here's a sweater knit that I think goes really well with it, and you can use Lois's idea for the pearl jacket, short jacket to wear over this longer shirt. Put it in this sweater knit, and you've got yourself a nice ensemble. So last year, we produced a kit and a class on the Charlie Bomber. And we used a cotton and lycra in navy blue and some denim. And we used both of them for this jacket, underlined with cotton knit, so that when this is quilted in this square pattern, both of these fabrics are sewn together, and it has that perfect body for an outer jacket. You have some navy ribbing for the bottom of the jacket and the cuff. And if you wash this denim, you fringe it, and then you're able to use the fringe as the detail on the jacket. So this was our kit, and we still have kits for this. So we're putting the kits out there this week for you to still buy. But Maggie Kappenstein, I've never asked her which that is, made hers in a dark version. Black denim, fringed in the same way. Black cotton, kind of a twill cotton, and she's used a contrasting thread, which I think is fantastic, sort of a jeans color, you know, the color of thread that's used to stitch jeans together. Use that for the same pattern. She found a kind of camel and black stripe for the ribbing. You don't necessarily have to use ribbing for areas that ask for ribbing. This is just a nice knit fabric that has enough stretch to use as the bands for the sleeve and the bottom. And then she's lined it or underlined it in this fabric, which is like a flannel. And then used another stripe for a swing tee. Isn't that great? This is wonderful. She wore it with black pants, had it on. I took it off of her. She was willing to let it go. She had to change clothes and go home. So, Charlie Bomber. So Maggie also had on a sterling jacket. Now the sterling jacket is our January project for So Confident. We've been talking about it quite a bit. There are two ways to finish the edges of the sterling jacket. Both the jacket that Maggie made and the one that I have on, which Lois made, have used the traditional hemming technique. So in the pattern, you have the option of turning the hems and stitching, or you have the option of roll hemming. And both of these jackets have been finished in a more traditional way. So just because we talk about rolled hemming, don't be afraid. You don't have to do that. This proves that these jackets can be made quite easily using a more traditional method. But this is a black jacquard textured weave. And she's lined just the front, no, the whole thing. Yeah. Beautiful lining, black and white silk. And I say lining, this is kind of a hybrid. This is like sort of underlining lining. So the seams are hidden, so that would be a lining, and yet it's sewn into the edges more like an underlining. So I like to do that. It's what I call a hybrid between lining and underlining. She's wearing it over this swing tee in a nice black and white dotted knit. So I pulled together a black jacquard, very similar. There's lots of texture to it. Make sure I got the right side here. So you can see that it's a dotted jacquard, about the same weight. It's all cotton, I believe. I should look. Yes, all cotton. It's a great weight for year-round. And then put that with this black and white knit jersey, and you have something very similar. Now, this was the surprise of the workshop. We're back to Kathleen again. And that is a sterling. This time it's in leather, no sleeves, snaps, they do work. I know they do. There we go. But all the other elements are there. She did add pockets. Her hanky's still in the pocket here. She added pockets in the seams here, and you can see the detail of the pocket. This is beautiful work. The fact that she used leather and a skin is pretty amazing, and the stitching is perfect. So she's a good sewer. But I love the green. She lined it, or underlined it, in this fun print. So we were talking about what to wear with this. She had it on with another sort of green t-shirt, and it looked great. But I thought, well, you know, you could pop it with a really opposite color. And this purple is actually in this print. So sometimes you can look at a printed fabric, and if you're having trouble deciding what color to go with something, and you want to do something a little bit unexpected, well, take a look at what's in the fabric that maybe you're going to use and maybe you're not going to use. But this purple is in this fabric with this green and plum and yellow and so forth. So I put it with an Odette in the purple, and it really sets this off. And then I have on a sterling that Lois made, and this has been underlined as well in solid blue. Pockets have been added. That's something I hadn't thought of doing. The pockets that were added here are sewn so that the details of the top stitching really shows. These are a loose pocket inside of the garment. It's perfectly fine. But I love this fabric. This is linen, and it's a linen jacquard. And I now own this because Lois was kind enough to sell it to me, and I'm crazy about it. So it's the perfect weight. I plan on wearing this a lot. I have it on over the Crane Street tee, which is of course what we built it for. The Crane Street is the February project, or the March project, and the April project as well. But it's the perfect complement, perfect neckline, and putting a knit t-shirt under this sterling works really well. Okay, so that was sterlings. Jan Black brought her famous, and we say famous because she's worn this some, and I've seen it a time or two. But this is like the perfect jacket. She lives in South Carolina. Jan Black lives in Hollywood, South Carolina. And it's hot there, but there are times when you need a jacket or something to put on at a restaurant or a cold meeting or whatever, or of course when traveling. So this is the Quincy Jacket in a beautiful textured black fabric. I've put it over an eTee that is a long sleeve eTee. We have options for sleeve lengths on eTees. And it has a zipper front. It can have a button front, but the Quincy Jacket has the same kind of details really as the sterling. And we started with the Quincy and came up with the sterling. So it has the same inset, same seams. We added a peplum this front, cut down the collar. We made a few changes to the Quincy jacket pattern. But this is the original Quincy. And if you want a basic jacket, I don't know if I call this basic. It's only basic because it's black. But this is a great jacket. It doesn't require a lot of fitting. It fits a lot of people. And I encourage you to take a look at that pattern. So I mentioned the eTee, which is under this Quincy. And this is Kareen Stover's eTee. I actually had to email her and ask her what the pattern was because it doesn't really look like an eTee much anymore. But that's what's so great about what people do with our patterns. So this is an eTee. So obviously she's squared off the bottom, made one side about 3 inches longer than the other, put a seam down the front, took away some of the swing at the bottom and boxed it out just a little bit. So it's a little straighter line. The back is the same length as the right front. She's added a seam at the back. So this left front is the only part that's actually shorter. Added a patch, this is not a pocket, and used a zipper for decoration. And this is in a cotton jersey. And I think it's fantastic. What you can do with this pattern is pretty unlimited. So just remember that. All right, I think that I have almost talked about everything. I brought this blue sweater knit out because it is such a beautiful quality, and I love the color. And it could be the sweater knit for almost any of these that I've shown. It could be the Liberty t-shirt sweatshirt, it could be the pearl, it could be a Quincy, it could be a sterling, it could be an eTee. I think this it could be a Chicago jacket, it could be almost any pattern that I've talked about today. Okay, do we have any questions?
Yes, so the Quincy and the sterling, are those the same, is there the same size range in those patterns?
Yes, the sterling and the Quincy have the same size range, although in the original Quincy printed pattern, we do have some plus sizes in that pattern. And that does not show up in the new digital download, I don't believe, or does it?
So the Quincy does have plus sizes and regular sizes.
Okay, the Quincy has regular sizes and plus sizes. The sterling does not. Only has sterling has extra small to XXL. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is the linen fabric of the sterling that you're wearing, Linda, available?
No, I think we're out of this. I'd have to look, but I think we're out of it.
I think so.
Yeah, I'd have to look.
We had it last year.
Yeah.
The navy, I think it was the pearl, the navy pearl.
Okay.
Can you show the front and the back of that garment?
Yep. All right, so here's the front. Here you have the buttons on the wider turn back hem. And the back still has the same seam. And then it's been straightened out and shortened. I think I might put this on, actually.
It's really cute.
Yeah. Look good?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's really cute. It has more of a swing look to it in the front than I expected. I like that.
Yep. Deep hem on the sleeve, which I think is good. Because normally I believe this hem is narrow. But I like deep hems like this, particularly in a sweater knit.
Would the blue sweater knit work for a sterling?
Oh, absolutely. This would be a great sterling. It would feel more like a sweater, I think, but it would be great. If I were doing a sterling in this, I would not do the rolled hem. I would do the traditional hemming, give it a little bit of weight, and I would also probably interface for sure that front placket. That's always an option, and I would probably interface the collar as well with our ultra sheer fusible interfacing.
So that pattern doesn't have to necessarily always be lined or underlined or
No, it just so
interlined.
happens that both Maggie and Lois lined and underlined and all that, but no, we don't call for that in the pattern. But underlining, of course, is just simply cutting the same pieces a second time, sewing them together, and then treating the whole thing as one and sewing it up in a normal fashion.
What color is your Crane Street tee underneath your jacket?
My Crane Street tee is the kit, the blue kit that we offered in March. And I don't know the exact name of the fabric, the color. But it's the only blue that we had. And we still have these kits. It's a cotton knit. It's very comfortable. And it's used the, can you see it, the rib for the center. Well, I like this sweater. This feels good. This may not be going back, Lois.
Just like the other one.
Yeah.
Do you have any other linen jacquards in stock that are similar to Linda's jacket?
Other linen jacquards. I don't think we have much at the moment in linen jacquards. We might have, I tell you what we do have. We do have some new colors of the jacquard that we used for kits for the January Sterling jacket. We have an olive. We have, I think there's one other color. A raisin or something. I think it's raisin and olive. And those are tone on tone and read similar to that jacket. Great weight for the jacket. We have a couple of other jacquards that are not linen. We have a few, actually.
Maybe Betsy can link
Yeah.
to some of these things. So what pants are you wearing?
I have on the pencil pants in navy lightweight ponte.
What shoes are you wearing?
And my shoes are navy suede somethings. I don't remember the brand, but navy suede.
Samantha brought up that she thought there was a mustard jacquard as well.
There is, that's right.
So the pearl jacket you're wearing, is that lined?
No, this is just the sweater knit single layer.
Okay. So the three-fold vest, how much was it shortened and where did it fall on her?
You know, that's something I meant to measure and I forgot, but let me put it on. I'm thinking that it is probably shortened 3 or 4 inches. That's a guess, but I'll put it on and you can see where it lands. Now Kathy is pretty small. I'm assuming I can get this on. There are a couple buttons here. How's this look? Do I have it on properly?
Looks like it.
So it's,
Oh, it's
you know,
cute.
it's below the waist. The slits are just about at my waist.
Cute.
Yeah.
So one of the sterlings that's lined and underlined, can we see that up close?
Sure. All right, so this one is pretty much lined, meaning that the seams are not exposed. And the lining is attached to the facings, which means that facings were created because the jacket does not have facings. So Maggie would have made facings, deep facings, and then attached the lining. And this printed silk is not the same fabric that's inside the sleeves. So you have a plain lining for the sleeves, and notice the deep facing, self-facing of the sleeve. So that's the black one. The blue one is pure underlined, meaning that now each piece, these pieces were connected and then sewn together so you can see the structure of the garment on the inside. That's the difference. So I think the black one was lined and this blue one was underlined. I have a class on Craftsy called Underneath It All that kind of sorts all of that out and shows you how to make patterns for the various techniques.
Okay, I think I'll get some close-ups of the fabrics.
Sure.
I didn't see any other questions.
All right, so this green is a sweater knit. And this is essentially the same sweater knit as the blue pearl jacket. So soft. It is polyester, rayon, and spandex. Super drapey, super soft. This is viscose. So it's incredibly drapey. So for West End pants, it's perfect. Make a great shirt too. This is 100% linen. This is cotton jacquard. Viscose knit. Then we have, let's see what this one is. Polyester and spandex. Whenever you have polyester sweater knits, they're going to hold their shape. They're not going to bag out. Great drape, hard wearing, but luxurious. 100% Tana lawn for the Liberty of Londons. 100% silk dupioni. And this one is acrylic, poly, cotton, and spandex. Quite a mix, but it has a heather texture to it. And then the jacquard is all cotton.
Okay. So the green tee, what is the patch on that? What fabric is that?
The patch is cotton, a piece of woven cotton, I think. Yep, I think so.
Can you use the Liberty prints as a lining?
Oh, yes. I've used cottons for linings. We always say that lining, part of the purpose of a lining is to help a garment slip over your body and other garments. Cottons are not as good as like a Bembrook rayon or a China silk, but these Liberties make good linings because they're so smooth. It's 80% as good as 100% Bembrook rayon. But in terms of design and pop, fantastic.
She really liked it with the blue sweater knit.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
The silk dupioni, how much is it? And she asked how can she buy it? But I think Betsy can lead you in that direction with a link. But how much is it?
This is $24 a yard, and then of course you'll get your discount.
There we go. Betsy just posted a link.
Okay.
What's the name of your Craftsy class about linings?
Underneath It All. There's a lesson on lining, underlining, interlining, facings, interfacings, everything that goes inside of a garment is addressed in that class.
Okay, I don't see any other questions.
All right. So, the sale today. Let me find my sheet. This looks like my house. Clothes on top of the bed. Okay, so we have 4 patterns on sale. We have the Liberty shirt, the pearl and opal jacket pattern, the 3-fold vest, and the Charlie bomber. Those are the 4 patterns on sale. All the fabrics, and some of the they're priced a little bit differently as I recall. Maybe Betsy can clarify that just a little bit, but some are a deeper discount than others, as I recall. So you can take a look at that. I think the sweater knits are a little deeper discount than the Liberties and the linens. Yeah. So we have the Liberty MixIt Fusion tutorial. We have the So Confident Charlie Bomber online workshop, and then we have the Charlie Bomber kits on sale as well. Okay.
Okay, there was another question here. Is viscose considered a natural fabric?
Viscose is a hybrid. Viscose is rayon, and rayon is made from wood pulp, which is natural, and then it's combined with something that's not natural to make it into fabric. So it is a combo. I think we tend to put it into the natural fabric category, but it's not a true natural fabric.
Okay, I don't see anything else.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next Tuesday.